So you're stuck on what to charge your clients. Someone's interested in your work and wants you to do something for them. You get the idea, you know what to do, but now, what do you charge them? Pricing your work is one of the most complicated things to do, in my opinion. There's plenty of ways you can go about this, but I'm going to give you an easy way you can price your work that covers everything you need. And if you want to change to a different strategy or structure down the line, perfectly fine. But this is what works for me and ensures I always know how much to charge and covers everything. And I'm also going to leave you with a free template down in the description. So first off, we need your day rate for production. This is actually being on-set shooting. Forget all about working hourly. You're going to be working in full day and half day blocks. Make a full day 8 to 10 hours and a half day 3 to 4 hours. This way it allows you to fit 2 half day blocks in 1 day's worth of time. This is obviously considering you're going to need to travel from one place to the other. So you can just give yourself an hourly rate and multiply that by the amount of hours you're going to be working in this 4-day block. But this is for you to do the math. So let's say your full day rate is going to be 200 and your half day is going to be 140. So the reason why your half day is going to be more than half of what your full day is, it's basically to incentivize your clients to book more time with you. This way, you can both get paid more as well as have more time in your hands to do the job without the added pressure. Next up, you're going to need a rate for pre-production. This can be anything from prepping gear to writing scripts, coordinating crew, travel, etc. I personally do this on an hourly basis, but you can also implement a half day or full day block. Just estimate how much this is going to take you. And yes, with experience, you will get better at this. So let's say your rate is 20 an hour. Next up is post-production. Editing, sourcing music, VFX, motion graphics, color grading, all of that goes in here. I personally charge for editing and all post-related tasks by the hour or the half-hour block. And doing it this way gives me room for revisions, and it honestly just makes it a whole lot easier to estimate how much time you're going to spend rather than doing it by the hour. So yeah, this one's pretty self-explanatory. For example's sake, let's set this at the same rate we're going to be using for production. So that's 200 a day, 140 for the half day. Next up, you want to add up your project expenses. This is hiring crew or talent, buying props, renting a location, or simply just getting food. Any expenses related to the project have to be accounted for. Otherwise, you'll be losing money on it. So just go over everything required to make this project happen and add it all up. I know that some people add a margin on here. I personally don't. For me, the time spent handling all of these things, which is what the margin would cover, is just included in my pre-production rate. Next up, you also need to charge for gear. Yes, even if you own it. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be able to work and you'd have to go and get it elsewhere. How to charge for this has personally been my biggest headache when it comes to pricing my work. I've tried doing this in a multitude of ways, but here's what works for me right now. For jobs when you're the production company, meaning the final client comes to you and you have to handle everything, my advice is to start by creating packages of gear you're going to be using. So let's say you're hired to shoot an interview. Have a camera package that's going to have all camera-related things. That's camera, lenses, rigging, etc. A lighting package that includes all the lights, stands, modifiers, and grip. And then an audio package that also includes everything you're going to be using for that specific job. I say do this instead of going item by item. Because on your end, when you're putting the quote together, going item by item can get super tedious and it can be a whole lot of work. And it also opens the doors for you to second guess what it is that you actually want to take. So deep down, you know what you're going to be taking, just create a package around that. I know in some jobs you might need that magic arm and some jobs you don't. But for simplicity's sake, make that a part of your package. If you use it, great. If you don't, that's fine as well. Because sometimes you're going to hire a plumber to come and fix something. They're going to bring an extra screwdriver and not use it. And that's perfectly fine, but it's still accounted for. So here's an example of some of my kits. My video/A camera kit includes a camera, batteries, SD cards, 3 lenses, filters, an on-camera mic, a cage and rigging accessories, a monitor, V-mounts, V-mount plate, a tripod, and a gimbal. My basic lighting package consists of 2 lights, 2 stands, a softbox, a reflector, and an extension cord. My audio kit consists of a shotgun mic, a wind muff, pistol grip, cables, a boom pole holder, a stand, headphones, and a recorder, batteries, and SD cards, as well as a wireless lav kit. So these 3 packages are all I'd need for a small-ish production. So when I'm quoting for a job like this, I just add these 3 packages and get a price. The other situation you can find yourself in is getting hired by someone else to be a part of their crew or their production. This is when I'd go and line item everything. Then they can go and choose whatever it is that they want me to bring for that production. And I just charge individually by item. This is because when you're working as the production company for the final client, the client isn't going to dictate what you're meant to bring. It's up to you as the expert to know what it is that you're going to need, and they don't care as long as the job gets done. On the other hand, when you're working for someone else's production, they know exactly what they want, and in that case they can just go and get it from you in case you own it instead of going to the rental house. So how much do you charge for your gear? There's a bunch of different ways you can go about this. I find two that I really like. The first one is just, as a rule of thumb, charge about 5% of the retail price of the item. This means once the item gets used about 20 times, it's going to be fully paid off. The other one, which might be more accurate, is check the rental houses in your area. See on average how much something rents for, and then take that price down by about 20 to 25%. Renting your own gear to the client makes it both easier and cheaper for them rather than renting from the rental house. And it also covers you because you had to invest in that gear the same way that the rental house did. Next is travel. Anything to get you from your house to set and back goes in here. It could be as simple as driving by car, or as complex as taking a flight, accommodation, and everything that comes with that. So let's go over what to consider. If going by car, here in Portugal, it's really easy. We charge a fixed rate per kilometer. This number should cover everything from gas, tolls, parking, maintenance, and a slight margin. You just go on the Maps app, see how long the round trip is going to be, multiply that by this number, and there's your price. If you're doing some more complex travel, here are the things that you need to account for. The car travel fees to and from the airport, your flights, the accommodation, luggage fees, food, parking on set, parking at the airport, the shuttle to and from the airport, renting a car when you get there, gas and all car travel expenses in that car. And I know a lot of people also do half days or full days for the days where you're traveling because you can't put another job in there. Finally, profit margin. So lastly, after you add all of this up, you can choose to put a profit margin on top of it all. This is meant to put money aside for your actual business and not yourself. So it's not to cover any costs, it's also not to pay yourself, but it's the business's money. So it's for the business to grow, to pay bills, to invest in gear and education, and any other business-related expenses. This can go anywhere from 10 to 50% or whatever it is that your market can bear. This strategy allows you to cover all of the expenses, pay yourself, and set aside money for the business. And on that note, I think it's super important for you to know your market. As much as I think that this formula makes it a lot easier to take out some of the guesswork when it comes to pricing yourself, there's something else that's very important. You can never disregard the market that you're situated in. You have to talk to other freelancers and other production companies and know how much they are charging. You have to get a feel for how your market behaves and what it can bear. So the industry that you're working in, as well as the area you're located in, are going to heavily influence how much you can charge. So your rates are going to be very different if you're working in a major city or if you're working in a small town in the middle of nowhere. Once you know this, you're gonna have to go ahead and adjust, and with time and experience, you will know if you have to get higher or lower in the price scale. You want to look to hit around, I'd say, a 50% approval rate. If you're getting much more than this, it's likely that you're cheap. And if you're getting much less than this, it's likely that your market cannot bear your prices and you're a bit too expensive. So with time, experiment and readjust as needed. So given all of this, let's make a quick quote to give as an example. 2 hours of pre-production, 2 times 20, $40. 1 day of production, 1 times 200, $200. 1 day of post-production, 1 times 200, $200. You're hiring a gaffer, a studio location, and getting food, $400. A camera package, a basic lighting package, and an audio package, $400. Travel by car and parking, $50 at a profit margin of 20%, and that is going to total you $1,548, which you can go ahead and round up to $1,550. Mind you, this is just an example and prices will fluctuate. So finally, how do you present this to the client? I say break it down into 3 items. So that's pre-production, production, and post-production. So for your pre-production, put your pre-production rate and all the project expenses, crew, talent, location, etc. For production, put your production rates, gear rental, and travel expenses. And finally, for post-production, put your post-production rates, music licensing, and any other post-production related expenses. And that's how you present your quote. I find that for me, doing it this way presents just enough information to the client so they're in the know, but it's not too much. They get to understand where their money is going, but without them being able to nitpick whether you need a Sony A7S III and couldn't you just do with the Sony A7S II? You really don't want to get into those conversations, so don't disclose too much. And it also doesn't seem like you're nickel and diming them when you're going item by item for about 50 different pieces of equipment. Also, it's not up for them to know that, it's up to you. You're the one who knows how to do the job, you know what you're gonna need. So that's basically how I go about pricing my work and giving quotes to my clients. I hope this was helpful and you learned a thing or two. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and that's it. Stay safe.